alleges there's a 400 billion shilling scandal in the standard gauge railway contract.
But there seem to be some lapse in security arrangements.
A governor who becomes reckless in his management can easily exterminate a community.
Conflict rages on in Moyale as leaders trade accusations.
Nikishika dingo nimlete pale dingo atoeza waachiliwe. Si unajua hiyo dirawama kwangu juu mimi nilipeleka.
Challenges of the Nyumba Kumi concept. What you may have to give up. And music then and now. The evolution of music production.
KTN Weekend Prime with Yvonne Okwara.
It is the 5th of January 2014. A very warm welcome to our bulletin and thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be speaking on phone later on to the Marsabit Governor Yattani to just talk about some of the security arrangements in place to keep the residents of that area safe in that seemingly never-ending conflict that has been raging for years now. So do stay with us for that. But let's get to our top stories first, and we start off with the Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, who has accused the government of planning to embezzle 400 billion shillings of the 1.2 trillion shillings that will be used to build a new standard gauge railway line. Leaders from the Jubilee Alliance have, however, challenged Wetangula to forward the matter to the relevant anti-corruption authorities. KTN's Catherine Amondo has the details.
New standard gauge railway line is still a hot topic. Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula has brought about another twist to the already controversial issue.
Kutoka kwa mbunge wao mwenyewe amesema na aliniambia binafsi kwamba kwa hiyo reli wamekula bilioni 400 billion, more than Anglo Leasing, more than Golden Bag put together. Na wao wanajidai ni viongozi.
A lot of time to our guests.
Wetangula claims that this information was divulged to him by none other than Nandi Hills Member of Parliament Alfred Keter, a man who is now seen more as the proverbial black sheep of the Jubilee Alliance.
You know, Senator Wetangula has been in this issue when it came to the Tokyo scandal, and he knows that there is a procedure for dealing with it.
We expect that as the minority leader within the Senate and being a leader within the court fraternity, that he will be able to assemble his troops within the National Assembly and within the Senate, raise those issues. Let us have the various committees of Parliament investigate, come out with a report, so that as we engage with members of the public, we are not just raising, issues that do not have ground.
I wonder how man can steal 400 billion in the first place when the contract itself has not even been signed of the railway, when the project has not even begun. But if it is true that there is such a colossal amount of money which has been stolen, Senator Wetangula should go to the police and report.
But Wetangula insists that the Jubilee government has embezzled funds from the 1.2 trillion shilling project.
Keter anasema kuna ufisadi. Wacha tusikie President Uhuru akisema hiyo kandarasi iko cancel, tuende tender upya, to evaluate, kila mtu participate, tuone itagharimu pesa ngapi.
You will not stop us from developing and moving this country so that you can enrich yourself. Forget it. Kama uko na leto ya kusema, kwenda kutafuta serikali nyingine au kuonyesha uundo wako uweze kuendelea na mambo ya upuzi. Sisi hatuna haja na hiyo.
This is not the first controversy to hit the headlines over the new standard gauge railway line. When the project was launched late last year, there were doubts whether the Chinese company that won the tender actually had the capacity to do so, given that China Roads and Bridge Corporation's core business is to build roads and not railways. Now the burden of proof falls on the leader of minority, Moses Wetangula, to prove that this latest accusation is based on facts and not just political mudslinging. Catherine Amwando, KTN.
Now let's go to the insecurity in Moyale. 4 herdsmen from the Gabra community who were last evening killed by bandits in Oda location in Moyale constituency were buried today, with residents accusing the police of laxity in pursuing the attackers. Marsabit County Senator Hagura Godana and the Governor Yattani have urged the military on the ground to be vigilant to curb border incursions by militia from warring clans. Patrick Amimo was in Moyale and brings us the story.
This is Oda watering point, where 4 herdsmen were last evening killed and 1 injured, plus several livestock that were killed and injured. Strange enough, this place is only 50 meters from the local police post.
Polisi alikuwa hapo, hajajibu, alikuwa anaangalia na macho tu. Wananchi namalizwa hapo na mvugo yao namalizwa hapo.
These spent cartridges indicate the attackers indiscriminately sprayed bullets on the unsuspecting herdsmen and their livestock. Hyenas had a sumptuous night scavenging on the carcasses of dead animals. 22 camels, 13 goats and 2 cows were shot dead. 11 camels were left with bullet wounds. Villagers were still counting the losses and thinking of how they will seek treatment for the injured camels.
Wakati wanabanga hiyo kazi, KPR walitoroka hapa.
The 4 herdsmen killed in the attack were buried in a community grave. Their other colleague, who cheated death by a whisker, is admitted in a private hospital in Moyale town.
Tangu kitendo jana ilitendeka, watu waliwawa, DC ya area hajawahi fika hapa. Nafikiri watu wako na habari, wananchi wanalalamika, security force wako reluctant.
These people have come to the point of even engaging their militiamen, the OLF.
Last month, the government deployed the military to counties in northern Kenya to deal with local and foreign militia and the intermittent skirmishes amongst warring pastoralist communities.
We appeal to the KDF to be more vigilant. There's the Oromo Liberation Front, the militias are there. They are always equipped and they're just waiting for an opportunity so that in case of any situation where the KDF relaxes, then they take advantage and kill people.
Attempts to initiate peace-building efforts amongst leaders in Marsabit County have not been very successful. Leaders have been quick to blame each other for the state of insecurity in the county.
A governor who becomes reckless in his management can easily exterminate a community. That is the danger we are facing in Moyale, for example.
I think there is a lot of political undertone involved. People have not maybe accepted the results of the election, and I think the earlier they understand that there is no other way. Elections you win, you lose, then you prepare for another election.
Jaribu kuwaita kabila ya Gare, Gabra, Burji, kuna community Sakuye, Borana. Unfortunately, kabila ya Borana ilikataa kabisa kuniona.
People are raising money here in Nairobi to buy arms, and in the next, I think, few months, things might go bad.
They are just confirming what themselves are doing. We have intelligence report that a lot of fundraisings are taking place, arms are being purchased, and what we saw yesterday was a culmination of that, and more is going to happen. That's why we want the government to come to the bottom of this matter.
There appears to be a deep sense of mistrust and suspicion among leaders, but for residents, their wish is to see quick response from security agencies whenever attacks are made and a lasting solution to insecurity found. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
Thanks for that, Patrick. Now we have on phone the Governor of Marsabit County, Yattani. Thank you for joining us this evening, Governor, on KTN Weekend Prime. Let's start by talking about the measures that have been put in place. We've heard, like you just said in the clip we showed earlier, about arms being bought and about this attack happening just 50 meters from a police post. What security measures would you propose to keep the people of Marsabit safe?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on air at this time. Foremost, I'm grateful to the national government for having alluded to our request to deploy KDF. We are happy they are there, but you know they're human beings and you know they're dealing with very rough terrain. And sometimes they also are not as vigilant as they should be, and therefore that justify what happened yesterday. You know, as you are aware, and security is a function of the national government. We try to engage the people, the national, particularly the security machinery on the ground. Sometimes others are cooperative and others are not. This is a very unfortunate thing. Like we have a serious misgiving about the district commissioner Moyale, who even when people are killed yesterday did not bother even to visit the scene, which is less than 5 kilometers from his office. This is a very sad state of affairs, and he is letting down the government, and we want prompt action taken.
Right, Governor.
We've also tried, to get communities together, but unfortunately, the leadership, particularly of the Moyale constituency, the member of parliament has been very uncooperative.
Okay, Governor, we'll get especially to the allegations that were made by some of the area MPs in just a moment. But we know the conflict between the two communities, or rather all the other communities there, has been over scarce food resources. This time it's about politics. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Well, the underlying issue that, of course, there's competition for resources in the past, but this one is purely politics. There are people who are yet to come to terms with the reality that the election took place, and there are winners and losers. So the losers, the earlier they accept that the outcome of the election and move on and try to cooperate, then unfortunately we are unable to get solution. This is the problem, and the fear that that they can likely exploit within the constitution, that if the county becomes ungovernable, that there's going to be another round of elections. That has been the motivation of some leaders in the county, particularly the Moyale member of parliament. And earlier, they come to terms with the reality that the election is gone, then we can move on and try to build the relation between the communities.
All right, Governor, at this point I'd like to give you a chance to respond to the allegations made by some area MPs that you are playing politics with security in the region, that you are mismanaging the county of Marsabit, and that has led to the clashes we have seen in recent days.
Foremost, I think you need to agree with me. Which winner will spoil his victory by fighting his people? It's the losers that who are bitter and they want to make the county ungovernable, and as a result of those, they're using all tricks. We've tried to engage negotiation and mediation, in even engaging communities and engaging religious organizations, even engaging Kenya Red Cross, but they have always walked out of the process. So we are likely to get solution with some leaders, because the ultimate goal is to try to bring down the county government so that they will have an opportunity, and it's something that we are not prepared. The county, the function of the of security is for the national government. And the custodian, the number one is the president and his government. I don't control the police. I don't control the provision, what use of the provision administration. And therefore, they should direct, their complex where it belongs. If a member of parliament for Moyale has not been in the constituency for more than 3 months, and we have lost so many lives, we have lost so many homes have been torn. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right, finally.
The whole of 2-3 weeks, we've been organizing humanitarian efforts. The county contributed 10 million to purchase food for its people. And we are also able to organize resources, particularly food, from World Food Program and the Kenya Red Cross.
Governor, we're running out of time. I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. We're running out of time. Just one last question, if you can answer this really quickly. What, in your opinion, is the solution to the conflict there? KDF have been present, and we still see some very daring attacks taking place in Moyale. Would you tell us, in your opinion, what you think the solution would be?
The political problem, I think the government, the national government, should be very firm and should deal with the leaders who are inciting people. We know them. They must be dealt with. Number two, there is a remnant of Oromo Liberation Front operating in that region and causing mayhem, killing people, destroying lives, burning houses. What are they doing in Kenyan soil? Ethiopia is a friendly country. Why are we hosting Oromo Liberation Front in that part of the country? Whose interests are they serving? We need to come to the bottom of this. Unless we flush them out, then we are likely to get solutions. The problem of Moyale and Marsabit County dates back to almost 15 years. We lost the entire members of parliament for that county some time back. How come that by then I wasn't the governor? And since the current leaders are not there in position, how come that we've not been able to find solutions?
Okay.
We keep on seeing this recurring of this conflict over and over again.
All right,
we must flush out all left and we must arrest leaders who are inciting people.
All right, thank you very much for your time this evening. Governor Yattani, Governor of Marsabit County, speaking to us on the crisis going on there. And let's just give you some perspective on that. Now, historically, the two communities, that is the Borana and the Gabra, living in both Kenya and Ethiopia, have fought over resources such as pasture and water for their livestock. Now, the two communities, which incidentally speak the same language, have been embroiled in ceaseless conflict caused by sharing of the scarce resources in the northern Kenya region. But in the last few years, the violence has become more deadly. Now, the climax, as you may remember, came in June 2005 when raiders believed to be Boranas from Ethiopia crossed into Kenya and attacked the Turbi Trading Center. More than 90 people were killed during that attack, now infamously referred to as the Turbi Massacre. Now, since then, not a month goes by without reports of killings and gun battles in the area, and this has severely hampered development there. In the last 6 months of 2013, the conflict saw more than 800 households displaced and several houses torched. Let's now take a look at some of the serious cases of violence in the area that took place last year, that's 2013. Now, in July 15th, 2013, revenge attacks left one person dead and 3 wounded. Just a little over a month later, August the 30th, 2013, a spate of violence left at least 24 dead. A month later, September the 2nd, 2013, 38,000 people from 6,381 households were displaced. This affected education. All 32 primary and secondary schools remained closed as both teachers and students remained displaced, many of them too afraid to return home for fear of renewed attacks. Fast forward to December the 4th, 2013, armed militia attacked 3 vehicles. At least 3 people were seriously injured in that attack and admitted to Moyale District Hospital. The town was cut off from the rest of the country and transport came to a standstill. The conflict then had been going on for about 8 days, and during that time, 8 people, including an administration police officer, suffered bullet wounds and goods worth millions of shillings were looted in fierce gun battles that rocked Holale and Sololo areas in the outskirts of Moyale town. Now, in mid-December, 2 leaders from the region, Area MP Roba Duba and Golicha Galgalo Guyo, who's the Butia County representative, were charged in court for uttering words intended to cause violence among the communities there. Their case is coming up for mention on the 17th of this month. Now, as soon as the new year began, the conflict began afresh. Yesterday, January the 4th, 4 people were killed and wounded in fresh attacks. 11 camels were killed and 29 others injured when a group of herders from the Gabra community was ambushed at a watering point yesterday afternoon. That's a brief timeline of just everything that's been happening. Obviously, that's just over the last year. This is conflict that has been going on for a number of months. Let's move on to another case of insecurity back to the capital. Let's now give you the details of the story we broke for you here on KTN Weekend Prime last night. 1 person was wounded when an explosive device exploded in Nairobi's Isli estate. The device was left in a shop along the estate's 8th Street. Police have launched investigations into the incident. Wilkiston Nyabo reports.
A man is led away by a police officer in Nairobi's Isli estate after an explosion. He is not a suspect, but the victim injured after an explosive device went off in a shop. The man, only identified as Joseph, had stopped at this shop along Isli's 8th Street. He remembers buying a scratch card to top up his airtime.
Baada kubaki credit nika scratch hapo nikingoja change ikuje nikastuka tu yani hata siku nimejipata aje nisipo kutoka huko today.
The bomb was allegedly left in the shop in a paper bag. Eyewitnesses pointed 2 men, one of whom bought a cigarette and left the shop shortly before the device exploded.
Watu wawili tu, mmoja akatoka huko mwingine alikuwa amebeba karatasi ya yellow ya green. Na after hiyo nini kafanyika?
After kununua maji na KTN 10 akatoka. Kama sasa naye akamfuata kununua ndio ikalipuka.
Joseph was rushed to hospital. The attack is the latest in a series of bomb or grenade blasts in the country. It comes just weeks after an explosion in a public service vehicle in Pangani left 6 dead and at least 30 others nursing injuries. No group has come out to claim responsibility for the attack. Wilkistanyawa, KTN.
Residents of Kaptembwa location in Nakuru County today discovered the body of a woman suspected to have been murdered by her boyfriend after a drinking spree last evening. The body was found buried in a garbage pit meters from a house where the two were meant to spend the night. Here now are the details.
Shocked residents trickled into this house early this morning to witness the incident of a lady they only know by her nickname as Ngina, reported to have been murdered and her body buried in this trash pit.
Iliweza kupata watu hapa ndani. Nikamuuliza iko nini? Kaambia mtu ameuawa na amesikwa. Na amesikwa wapi? Nikaelezwa teremka hapa chini.
Ngina, estimated to be less than 30 years old, is alleged to have been killed by her boyfriend while spending a night in a house hosted by one lady known as Jamila Akai. It is alleged that her killer later dragged the body and buried it in this pit outside the house. According to Kaptembwa Area Chief Stephen Koech, Jamila, who had witnessed the incident, could no longer hold the guilt, forcing her to alert him of the bizarre murder.
She reported that Philip stabbed her several times and hit her with a metal bar while she was asleep and buried her in a shallow pit.
Police from the scene of crime arrived at the site as outraged residents kept vigil around the pit where a section of the blanket suspected to have been used to cover the body protruded.
And according to the reports from members of the public, they have not been in good terms for some time. It was only yesterday that the deceased was seen very drunk.
The residents, however, blamed the incident on increased cases of illicit brew in the area, a claim which the area chief has denied.
Kwanza tunastuka, hatustuki kwa hii because kuna wale wamekufa wengi. Tunataka tuone ya kwamba huyu mtoto anasemanga atamaliza hii ugonjwa. Kwa nini akuji Kaptembwa na Ronda?
The body of the deceased has been taken to municipal mortuary. The motive of the killing, however, remains unclear. For now, Jamila is in police custody while the suspected killer remains on the run. Kamchemenza, KTN from Nakuru County.
Let's take you to Garissa County. Teachers there are angered by a threat made earlier by the Governor Nadhif Jana. Nadhif had earlier stated that he, in conjunction with the Teacher Service Commission, would sack any teacher who is underperforming. The threat came after Garissa County performed dismally in the 2013 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations. The Garissa teachers told the governor that they do not fall under his jurisdiction and therefore he has no right to make reckless remarks. The governor, however, stood his ground, saying that he will go ahead and sack any teacher who is not performing. One of the reasons Garissa performed poorly, according to the teachers, was because of the informal schools within the refugee camps.
Untrained teachers in the refugee camps, walimu ambayo hawajahitimu, hawana license ya kufundisha, wanaajiriwa refugees, alafu minisco yao inaongezwa kwetu. Hebu tukitoa minisco ya Garissa County kando na refugees kando, Garissa County itaenda wapi? Itaenda mbali.
We will have to restructure that sector, and if within that restructuring TSC decides to terminate, and this is the position of the county government, we are only going to support TSC where they seek our support to replace a teacher who is not performing. If a teacher out there is not performing year in, year out, and he wants to continue staying in that school and not adding any value, I don't think TSC or any national government organ or any county government organ will agree to that.
The ban on night travel has led to losses of revenue of up to 50%. This is according to the Country Buses Owners Association, which insists that banning night travel will not reduce accidents on Kenyan roads. As Wilson Mburu reports, the association is now threatening to go to court if the government does not rescind the ban.
It has been an endless nightmare for travelers who had gone up country for the Christmas and New Year festivities. Since the government banned the night travel for long-distance public service buses, thousands of Kenyans have been stranded, unable to go back to their places of work. And even those who are lucky enough to get tickets, they have had to pay up to triple the normal fares. Now, the Country Bus Owners Association has come out to criticize the government over the move, claiming it does not make any sense.
Kusafiri usiku, makosa iko wapi? Ni gari haina macho ya kuona mbele sawa? Kusafiri usiku, ni dereva hajui kuendesha usiku? Basi kama hajui kuendesha usiku, license yake iandikwe.
Mbugu also says the ban will lead to massive job losses.
Lazima tutafuta watu zaidi ya 1000 karibu 6, sababu watafanya kazi gani? Na wao ndio walikuwa spare driver wa kufanya kazi usiku.
The association's sentiments have been shared by Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, who says President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration is taking the country backwards.
Rais anasimama anatuambia we are going to run a 24-hour economy. Alafu anapinduka anasema public transport hasitembei usiku. So is he running a 12-hour economy or a 24-hour economy?
Over 400 drivers have so far been arrested for contravening the directive. On the other hand, the government says the number of accidents since the directive was issued has greatly reduced. But the bus owners maintain buses are not the main cause of the high number of deaths on Kenyan roads.
Umbwa inapita kwa barabara inakosa accident, lori inagonga basi. Why? Basi yenyewe ndiyo imesemekana ya kwamba ndiyo cause of accident.
All in all, bus owners have made their case.
They do not know what causes accidents in this country. What they do know, however, is that it's not caused by traveling at night. What they also know is that this night travel ban is negatively affecting their business. Another thing they know is that if the government does not scrap this ban on night travel, then it will most definitely find itself in court. Wilson Mburu, KTN, Nairobi.
Now, is the Nyumba Kumi initiative the way to tackle the wave of insecurity that has swept across many parts of the country? While a section of Kenyans believe finding out more about their neighbors could be the key to foiling attacks, others fear that speaking out could land them in trouble with their neighbors. KTN's Wilkis Tanyabo reports.
Faced with the rising incidents of insecurity, two words now begin to roll easily from the lips of Kenyans across the country. Members of the public have assigned different meanings to the phrase Nyumba Kumi, which translated word for word means 10 houses.
Nyumba Kumi bado sijaisikia na ningetaka mtu at least aweze kunifafanulia zaidi.
What they are trying to do at least to help other people. At least you know wasaidia ama other Kenyans I mean. Hata kama 99.78% ndio wasaidie kabisa. To be housed.
Nyumba Kumi is a government initiative which encourages people to get to know at least 10 of their neighbors well in order to foil plans to break the law or cause harm. Daniel Wambua wishes the concept had been implemented earlier. He is starting afresh, having lost most of his household goods to robbers who struck when he was out of town.
Nitimiapo tarehe 26 usiku nikapigiwa simu nikajulishwa kwamba kumeibiwa. So nikuje niangalie what has gone, what is there. Beddings as you can see, clothing. Tukiingia kwa jiko walibeba meko na kuna pesa nilikuwa nimeacha mahali more than 70,000 pia zilienda.
Wambua had lived in the flat for just 2 months before the thugs struck. He knew nobody save for the caretaker, and in hindsight, thinks befriending the neighbors could have made a world of difference.
Kwa maoni yangu, mwizi ni yule yule. Anakujanga ile siku ambayo huko aware ama hujui. But still, kama wangekuwa wanajua, maybe wananijua na wasikie kama kumefunguliwa mmoja atoke au si mimi, angejulisha wale wengine na bado singeambiwa.
While a section cling to the belief that Nyumba Kumi will bring suspicious characters to the attention of law enforcers, others believe it amounts to selling out their neighbors, an idea that could put them in jeopardy.
Juenye kama nikishika dingo nimlete pale dingo atoe dhawa achiliwe. Si unajua hiyo ni lawama kwangu juu mimi nilimpeleka. Sasa unajua sasa nikiwa hapo hivyo Nyumba Kumi itakuwa nyumba kangu kachomo ndio ni yarere.
However, the state of affairs in the country may take the decision out of their hands. On Saturday alone, police shot 6 suspected thugs. 4 gunned down as they fled after allegedly stealing household goods in Kino. 4 others allegedly attempted to carjack a motorist in Pangani. Members of the public must grapple with the idea of giving up their privacy for peace of mind.
Serikali yesi katurasimisha, sisi wenyewe ndio tutakubali na sisi wenyewe hiyo mambo inatuhusu.
Wilkiston Abwa, KTN.